Before we get into this week's show, last Friday evening, National 2 West Club Old Redcliffians confirmed that one of their players, Ellis Joseph, had died aged 27. Ellis was diagnosed with leukemia a year ago, but sadly passed away peacefully at his family home last week. In a statement on the club website, Old Redcliffians said Ellis showed immense courage and bravery and strength throughout his illness and was a cherished member of the Old Reds community. The support also shown during the hashtag Try for Ellis campaign demonstrated the rugby family at its best, as countless people joined the stem cell register as a result. The many tributes which poured in for Ellis over the weekend highlight what a brilliant character he was, and everyone at National League Rugby sends their condolences to the friends and family of Ellis, and of course, our thoughts are very much with everyone at Old Redcliffians. Round 19 is our focus this week, but first, a big thanks to both Westcombe Park and to Hinckley for their time on last week's show. Great to see such a healthy crowd at Hinckley for their round 18 game against Camborne. And with there being no Six Nations this week, what better time to head to your local National 1 and National 2 club. And that is absolutely the case for one of our feature clubs this week in the form of National 2 East Worthing Raiders, who are holding their annual Rugby Against Cancer fixture when they host Bury St Edmunds at Roundston Lane this weekend. But for more on that and the Rugby Against Cancer charity itself a little bit later on. But first, we are with National 1 side Bishop Stortford, who faced Rotherham Titans on Saturday after picking up a brilliant result in round 18. So for more on that and a look back at last week's action, let's head in to the third tier. Well, the pendulum swung once again in the National 1 title race, and it is back with Richmond, who now hold a 3-point lead at the summit. George Nugent coming up with what could be a crucial bonus point score a minute from time to seal a 31-14 victory for Rob Powell's side in round 18 against 10th placed Dings Crusaders last week. But the main storyline occurred at Old Bath Road, where title candidates Rams suffered a 34-25 defeat against Bishop's Stortford. Back-to-back losses for Seb Reynolds' side, who have slipped back down to second in the standings. But massive credit to Bishop Stortford in this one, who have now beaten both Rams and Rotherham Titans away from home this season. Tom Coleman's side suffered 3 yellow cards in 5 first half minutes, but Tom Mills's penalty on the stroke of half time gave Stortford an unlikely 17-15 lead, and then second half tries from Mills himself, as well as Chris Smith and Alex Raymond, did the damage as Stortford departed Berkshire with a full 5 points. So an excellent result for Bishop Stortford, but confirmation that Richmond are back on top of the pile, and with that 3-point gap, while Rotherham Titans are still in the hunt after their 24-7 victory over 13th placed Leicester Lions. A patched up Titans team due to illness and injury, but they still maintained their winning run. But despite their best efforts though, they didn't manage to secure a try bonus point. So they are 6 points off the top with their game in hand to come next week away at 12th placed Esher. And just sticking with the top half briefly, Plymouth Albion continued their blistering form. It's now 7 wins in a row for Ryan Lamb's side, who defeated Blackheath 22-19 away from home last weekend. Just the second side to depart the Utilita victorious, and Plymouth actually play the top 3 sides in March. A really interesting time to come for Plymouth Albion. Just down at the bottom, where Esher made it 3 wins on the spin in round 18 with a 29-22 win away at bottom club Darlington Moden Park. It now leaves them 13 points clear of Leicester Lions with a game in hand. So a brilliant start to 2025 for Peter Winterbottom's troops. And the only other side to taste victory in the bottom half in round 18 were Bishop Stortford, who are our first feature club of the week on the National League Rugby preview show. Now, this time last year, Bishop Stortford were actually bottom of the third tier, but they managed to escape the drop on the final day of the season, and they are now a club looking up rather than down. This is their seventh consecutive season in National One. But for head coach Tom Coleman, this is his first season solely in charge of the club after being joint head coach a few years ago when he helped to guide Stortford to sixth place, their highest ever finish in National One. Now, for those who don't know Tom is Stortford through and through, having played for the club as a mini and junior right the way up to playing in the National Leagues. And Tom actually captained the club when they earned promotion to National One back in 2017. So it is a club very close to Tom's heart, and he would have been absolutely delighted with their victory over Rams last week. But the challenges keep coming for Bishop Stortford, starting with the visit of third place Rotherham Titans to Silver Lays on Saturday. So ahead of that one, we decided to have a catch up with head coach Tom Coleman. To start with, Tom, I think there's only really one place we can begin with, and that's that victory at the weekend away at Rams. We know how difficult it is a place to go since the club have been in National One. So, you gave them a hard time in the reverse fixture back in October, but came through on Saturday with this outstanding result. So how do you kind of reflect on it overall?
Like you said, it's probably been a long time coming, to be honest. I think it was, 8 years, someone reminded me just before we kicked off, which was nice. And I think that Rams are a quality outfit, and they've been doing it for a few years now. But we had a really good sort of energy about us throughout the whole week, and we trained really well, and the boys were on it. And just sometimes as a coach, you sometimes look at your group and you think, this could be our day. It was a really good week for us in terms of honesty, and we sat there. We had a good meeting on Tuesday, and not just players, coaches as well, and we agreed we all have to do better. And we sort of looked at a few things and decided, are you someone who's going to pull the average up or down? Where are you going with it? And I think the boys reacted, and I think to a man, we had a plan of what we wanted to do. We know they're a smart side and they're experienced, and we'd have to do things perhaps slightly differently to what we'd normally do. And I'm pleased to say that the boys obviously carried that out.
Just go back to a really interesting point you made there, Tom. Like, kind of, you talked about like you being honest as a group last week, and did we kind of see everyone pulling together even more so during that Rams game? I know you said afterwards that you kind of had to go through a bit of adversity. I think you'd lost, I think, 3 yellow cards in the first half, but to then go into half time leading the game, that must have been a real boost for you as a side that everyone had pulled together during that period, and then to go in the sheds leading must have given you a bit of a bounce in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. You face adversity in every game, really, but you can certainly compound that, and we have a very good habit of doing that to ourselves at times. And I think probably, if I'm right, there's probably 3 times this season we've played with 13 or 12 players, and that you can't do that at this level. Teams are too good, they're too accurate, and they work you out. But I mean, the way the 12 boys dug in, because those yellow cards all came within 2-3 minutes of each other. So we're playing a large period with 2-3 players left, and I think the way they're just a huge character from the boys, the way they turned up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Tom. And just kind of looking at a bit of the wider picture a little bit, and bringing it to the start of this season. Obviously, if I'm right in saying you came back to the club as kind of the sole head coach in the summer after kind of stepping away after being joint head coach with Marcus. And I know when you left, you kind of talked about kind of the work commitments, the family commitments, which are so important to everybody. But what was kind of the decision for you to kind of come back to the club and take on the head coach role last summer?
Well, I think what I'd say is I've obviously got huge respect for all the coaches that coach at this level, and some of us are different. Some of us are full time, some of us are part time, and I'm talking to you now, but I'm in school and I'm teaching a lesson in about 20 minutes, and you sort of. And you've got to just try and work it all out. And I think I've been at the rugby club a long time, as a youngster, and then grown up through the club, and worked with some great people: Andy Long, Pete Engledale, Steve Pope, and it's kind of, it just takes its toll on you eventually. And I think it was good for me to have a year of sort of reflection and learn a bit more as well. I think that's important. Is that I look at a lot of other coaches in the Championship and National One and below, and there's some great coaches in every level, and you can never stop sort of learning from them. And then obviously the intention was to hopefully come back at some point, but you just get the feeling for it sometimes, and the feeling was right to come back. And the club has meant a lot to me as a mini and youth sort of player, and I've grown up and had some great journeys with some great people, and obviously those connections are still there and still very strong. And it does mean a lot to me, and I let the players know that as well, and I think they can see it when I speak to them. And I was in a meeting on Sunday morning with the mini and youth coaches, and we're working out how we can make them better and help them as a group develop the next core of first team players for our club. And it's important for me to give that back, because I've had that as a youngster and a coach coming up. I've had parents coach me and give up their time, and and I'm certainly invested in the future of the club. And it's not just about when I'm here, it's when I'm not here, what happens after. And there's got to be a reaction to that, and we've got to make sure we're in a really strong place moving forward. Those connections are important for us, and that's why I feel we've built a really strong sort of culture in the club, and that's something that we need to keep developing and keep growing.
Seems like the journey Bishop Stortford are on is taken step by step, as you say there, Tom, and it's heading in a good direction, hopefully, because kind of this time last season, I know kind of you were stepped away from the club for the brief period you had, Tom, but I was looking at the table from this time last year, and the club were actually bottom of the table. You now find yourself sort of mid-table at the moment. So what has gone into this season, do you think, to get Stortford to where you find yourselves now with kind of 8 games to go?
Hard work. You have to work incredibly hard. You have to be diligent in looking at the opposition. And I do spend hours, probably too many. If you ask my wife, she's. But you've got to spend your time doing your homework on other teams. You've got to believe in a way that you play. And if I'm being honest, I had to change quite a few things from where I thought we'd be at the start of the season. Injuries didn't help, and then probably a lack of recruitment, if I'm being honest. So, and that's on me. And I think I had to change a few things with the coaches, and we've done that. And I think we've built a good sort of well-rounded game that, as I alluded to at the start of the chat, I think most coaches will say about Bishop Stortford that we're a dangerous team, and I kind of like hearing that, but I don't. It frustrates me because we search for that consistency, and we've not had that. And that's something that as a group we've spoken about a lot, and something we need to be better at, because we haven't put a run of wins together yet that we're happy with. We've been there or thereabouts in games, but just not quite. And I think it's just finding that level where you can week in, week out sustain a level of performance that you're happy with, but also playing for 80 minutes. And that's what we spoke about the weekend, is this game's going to be 80 minutes and Rams aren't going anywhere, and we have to be there right at the end. And we were.
Just onto this weekend against Rotherham, you mentioned there that teams do kind of say that Bishop Stortford are a dangerous side, and I think Rotherham will know that all too well after you guys were the only team so far to beat Rotherham away from home. It's not often they lose at Clifton Lane, but you managed to get the job done in round 7. Can you take anything from that game, Tom, into this Saturday, or is it kind of maybe mixing a bit of that into kind of the performance that you did see against Rams, which you alluded to just there?
I think you can always take a bit from it. It's obviously a nice thing for us to go and achieve, but ultimately it will count for nothing this weekend. And I know Harvey very well. I know he'll be very keen to turn that around this weekend. And that's the great thing for us is, Harvey's a quality coach, and he, quite rightly, he should feel he probably should be in the Premiership right now, and was unlucky due to unfortunate circumstances. And I think he's done a remarkable job there, and has turned them into a real tough side. And I think I wrote in some programme notes for the weekend, it's like what's impressed me the most is their level of consistency. I mean, it's incredible to just keep churning out results. We know what they do, and they do it very well. We worked it out on the away game, and we came up with a good plan, and it worked for us on the day. We'll need to do different things again this week, and we know that, and that's what we're preparing for. But the challenge for us is the players to back up a really good performance, and that's the hard part as a coach. You've got to. Our boys were obviously very excited on the weekend to get that victory, but I've now got to bring them down to a level that isn't seen as negative, but it's to take the next step. And can we beat the first place team, the second place team? And, I think we have the top four all in 4 games in a row. And we looked a lot at that and how we can sort of pick up points and where we're looking at our victories. But, we go into every game believing we can win it. And that's what you have to have. And Saturday will be no different. We have a small squad. I am asking a lot of the players. I know that. And every coach has injuries and problems to deal with. And it's how you best deal with those, I think, that gets you through. And I've got a hungry group of players that they want to finish as high as they can. And they know that we're building something. And hopefully we can sort of finish the season really strong. And then we can sort of look at next year and take another step further again.
So a huge thanks to Tom for his time earlier this week. Very clear that he absolutely bleeds Bishop Stortford, isn't it? And he's determined to see the club take strides forward between now and the end of the season. And they actually come into this weekend in the knowledge that they are the only team to beat Rotherham Titans at Clifton Lane this term. So can they replicate that performance and that 45-34 victory they achieved back in round 7 in front of their home supporters at Silver Lays this weekend? And why not get yourself through the gate at Silver Lays to find out for yourself. It should be a brilliant atmosphere in Hertfordshire on Saturday. And from a Rotherham Titans perspective, they all know they'll have to be ruthless and take their chances again, like they did last week against Leicester Lions, if they are to depart Bishop Stortford with the desired outcome. And their fellow title candidates are also on the road in round 19. And as you can see, league leaders Richmond visit Leicester Lions on Saturday. It doesn't get any easier for the hosts, who after this weekend would have played 4 of the current top 5 teams in a row. They fought hard last week at Rotherham and did frustrate the Titans at times, obviously denying them that bonus point. But can they turn that effort into some much needed points for themselves? As for Rams, they are also in the Midlands but face 7th place Birmingham Moseley. Moseley returned to winning ways last time out, with Dan Brough scoring this brilliant try in their 28-20 win away at Sedgley Park. It shows you should never give up the chase, and actually that proved to be the decisive winner for Adam Balding's side. So can they build on that this weekend? Elsewhere, Roslyn Park go to Dings Crusaders, having dispatched Sale FC 52-33 in round 18. Esher entertain Blackheath. The E's go into this one searching for a 4th win in a row, but they are also doing their bit for Rugby Against Cancer this weekend. Their players will be wearing the charity's iconic pink, blue and white socks, so do get yourself down to Moseley Road if you're in the area and show your support. It is their Ladies' Day and charity fundraiser this weekend at Esher. Meanwhile, an informed Plymouth Albion extended their winning run in round 18 to 7 matches, as we mentioned before, and they'll be looking to extend that this weekend, and they'll be bubbling with confidence when they take on Sedgley Park. And lastly, Sale FC, who will be targeting a 3rd straight home success, host bottom of the table Darlington Moden Park, who fought hard against Esher last week to deservedly earn a losing bonus point. Let's start our reaction in National 2 with a trip to National 2 West, where there was another key victory towards the bottom of the table for 11th placed Exeter University. Now, after their win over Luctonians at the start of the month, Exeter clinched a late 30-29 victory over Old Foes Loughborough Students in round 18 in what was a brilliant contest at Millfield School. Now, Exeter led 23-15 on the hour, but Connor Cross and James Bennett, who cut this beautiful line, dotted down 5 minutes from time to put Loughborough ahead. But James Boylan's last-minute try, which was converted by Benji Mills, sealed the win for Exeter, and Exeter are now 10 points clear of the bottom 2, but still hovering above the danger zone are 12th place Bourneville, who suffered another frustrating afternoon at Avery Fields. The Chocos led 25-22, approaching the final 10 minutes after a proper ding-dong battle with Hornets. But a yellow card was expertly punished by the visitors, who scored 3 tries in the final 12 minutes to condemn Bourneville to another defeat. And as you can see by looking at the standings, Bourneville remain 4 points clear of the bottom 2 after 13th place Macclesfield, who do have a game in hand to come next week against Exeter University, rallied back from 36-0 down at half-time to depart 3rd place Cinderford with a try bonus point in a 48-28 defeat. So Mac matching what Bourneville did in round 18. In terms of the title race, Camborne's aspirations were given a firm examination away at 10th placed Hinckley in round 18. For those who watched last week's show, you will have seen our feature on Hinckley and the test they had given to 2nd place Clifton and Cinderford in recent weeks, and it was the same again for the Midlands Club against the table toppers. It really was punch for punch, blow for blow in this one, up until the 66th minute when Ben Priddy completed his hat-trick to effectively seal the 44-39 win for the league leaders. A really good occasion at Leicester Road for the near 800 crowd who were in attendance. Clifton remains 6 points behind leaders Camborne after they returned to winning ways with a 42-26 home triumph over bottom of the table Devonport Services, while Redroof climbed to 5th after Tom Williams' late try secured a 23-14 win away at Luctonians. It's now 4 straight victories for Nigel Hamley's troops. So on to this weekend, where we actually start with table toppers Camborne, who welcome Bourneville to the recreation ground. A daunting prospect for the visitors, as the Cherry and Whites have won all 9 of their home games this term. At the other end, Devonport Services, who secured a try bonus point last week after capitalising on a second half red card shown to Clifton. They take on Hinckley at the Rectory Field. 2 teams either side of Hinckley in the table, Hornets and Exeter University. They meet at the Nest. Just 1 defeat in their last 7 home games for Hornets, while Exeter will be keen to translate their recent form onto the road. Loughborough students welcome Old Redcliffians to the Midlands in the reverse fixture back in round 7. Old Reds came back from 33-7 down to win 49-38 at Scotland Lane. So let's hope for similar entertainment this weekend. Macclesfield take on 2nd placed Clifton in Cheshire. Mac's consistent run of collecting points at home came to an end in their last fixture at Priory Park, and with an important game in hand to come at home against Exeter University next week, adding to their points total in round 19 will certainly be a boost, but that is easier said than done against the title challenger in Clifton. The informed Redroof take on 3rd place Cinderford. The away side were irresistible in the first half against Macclesfield last week, where they scored 6 tries, but going to Redroof this weekend will not be easy, with the hosts now eyeing a place in the top 4. And lastly, Taunton, who came from behind twice to seal a 19-12 win at Old Redcliffians last time out. They'll be seeking a 3rd win in a row for the first time since October, when they take on 6th place Luctonians. So from the west to the north we go, and as you can see, I am now joined by a special guest for this week. It's none other than Leeds Tykes Director Rugby, Pete Seabourne. Pete, great to see you again on the show, and thanks so much for coming on this week.
Yeah, no worries, Chris. Thanks for having us again. You know, it's always a pleasure to sit down and chat with you. You know, last time I was at AMC Head in the stadium. So yeah, it's always a pleasure to help out with the show.
Cheers, Pete. Yeah, we dragged you on the show again, Pete, because for a very good reason this time, we are building up to a big game at the weekend in National 2 North, with league leaders Leeds Tykes hosting 2nd place Sheffield at the Sycamores at West Park Leeds Rugby Club. And with Leeds being the home side, we thought we'd catch up with Pete to give people a bit of flavour of what they can expect from the top of the table clash on Saturday afternoon. So if you're thinking there's no Six Nations this weekend, this might be the hottest ticket in town across National League Rugby on Saturday, because just 1 point separates Leeds and Sheffield as we enter round 19. But before we get into that, Pete, let's reflect on round 18 and what was described to me as a resilient 28-24 win for Leeds Tykes away at 6th placed Wharfdale. Tom Williams' last minute try securing the bonus point for you guys, Pete. So has the heart rate settled since Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, we've settled down a little bit. It was, a fantastic fixture, fantastic game, like it always is between Leeds and Wharfdale. It's a tough place to go, which we knew that. They come out of blocks very quickly and started very well. Once we settled down, we got back into the game. Just after half time, we got in front 14-10, but then again, fair play to Wharfdale. They come back at us and they got 2 quick tries, and but we kept going. We kept playing right to the end. We got a try with 7 minutes to go through Adam Brown, and then we got a penalty 40 yards out, and then the referee matched them back 10 yards for back chat. So we always leave it to the players. I was pushing for them to kick a goal and come away 24 apiece, but message come back to me that the lads wanted to have a go at it, and fair play to them. They got over the line. So we're a tough, resilient group, and they showed that again on Saturday. To come away with a win like we did, and that Wharfdale say they lost it, we always say we won it. But no, it's a good win, and it feels like it could be a possibly a season-defining moment for us if we can back it up this week. Obviously, with Sheffield coming into town.
It did feel like when, watching the footage back over the weekend, one of those victories that can define teams, certainly towards the top of the table, Pete. But just kind of looking at the last few weeks for Leeds Tykes, you mentioned before that we kind of chatted when we featured the club on the show just before Christmas when he played Otley. But kind of since then, I've certainly seen kind of a really efficient sort of looking machine that you've been able to assemble at Leeds Tykes. Last season, we saw you score brilliant tries, dazzling rugby was played, scintillating rugby was played, but it feels like there's a bit more of a workman-like approach and maybe an added extra dimension to your game this year, Pete. So is it all about kind of trying to get the result in any way you can this year, and you might have to adapt your game plan to different scenarios, if that makes sense? Yeah,
I mean, every team's coming to knock us off as perch. I mean, we've been sat top or nearly top for the last 2 years, and we missed out last year, but we looked at where we needed to be and how we needed to improve the squad. Some players left, brought 15 new players in that have all played this time. So it's getting that right balance of how to approach each game. The top three are pretty clear, but then you've got your Wharfdale, your Fylde, your Prestons, people like that who are pushing just below that, and then like the bottom 5, bottom 6. I think there's only 6 points between Harrogate who are bottom and 7th and 8th. I don't know 7th and 8th, but it's that tight. 1 or 2 wins could flip it, and they all believe that they can beat each other. They all believe that they can come to us and beat us, or we're going there, they can turn us over, which is rightly so, because and any team in this league, in my eyes, can beat anybody on any particular day. And we had a lot of blowouts last year, whereas this year we're not getting that, because teams are fighting hard. They're wanting points, wanting bonus points, and it reflects in each team's performance.
Yeah, absolutely what Pete says there, we echo, because Leeds' latest battling victory over Wharfdale, as we said, leaves them still on top of the pile. But fellow title candidates Lim did stumble at home, but did so against a banging form Tynedale. Tynedale leading 28-19 at half-time, but a blistering start to the second half where they scored 3 tries in 10 minutes, took the game away from Lim, as Tynedale recorded a 47-33 victory in Cheshire. Just the second team to beat Lim this season, and the first team to beat Lim in Lim for 13 months. So as Pete was saying there, these sides below the top 3 are certainly good value for victories at the moment, and Tyne are certainly one of those. Up to 5th in the table, and Lim's defeat meant, like Leeds Tykes, second place Sheffield were able to edge away from them in the standings, as Anthony Poser's side recorded an 11th successive victory with a very impressive 43-23 win over Hull. So what that means for the title race, just to bring up the table in front of myself and Pete now, is that Leeds and Sheffield are separated by a single point going into this weekend's clash, while Lim are now 9 points off the top, but do have a game in hand to come away at 4th place Fylde next Saturday. Just down to the bottom of the table, just quickly, a good response and an excellent win for 10th place Sheffield Tigers, who went away to Fylde last week and clinched a 32-28 victory. It leaves them 8 points clear of the danger zone, while 12th placed Otley were not far away from picking up a crucial result in their season at Preston Grasshoppers. They missed 2 tricky penalty attempts late on at Lightfoot Green as Preston held out for a 27-24 win. So it was a losing bonus point for Otley, which leaves them a point clear of the bottom 2. But bringing it back to you guys, Pete, and bringing it back to the top of the table, when we featured you, as we spoke about before, when you played Otley just before Christmas, you didn't really want to touch on title races and promotion too much when we chatted. It was a straight bat, as I think you said. But with 8 games to go, with you guys being at home this weekend against Sheffield in the form they are, is it hard to kind of ignore how big of a week this could be in terms of the season and what's to come on the horizon?
Well, in our eyes, every week's a big week. We've got to keep playing. We've got to keep winning. If we were going to get where we would like to be, and obviously where we dropped off last year, then we have to keep winning. Sheffield is going to be a massive battle for us, as it will be for them on Saturday. They're coming into West Park. They haven't played there. Didn't play there last year because played them at Headingley. So it'll be interesting how they adapt to the field and the conditions. And it's a different climate up at West Park, as most people know. So yeah, Again, we're just taking one game at a time, and we're not getting beyond ourselves. We're not looking too far ahead. It's like, okay, the focus this week is solely on Sheffield and what we can do against a very good, well coached and well drilled side with Anthony Pose in charge, and you've got Ryan Burrows, and Don Parsons in there, and Elliot Fisher at 9. They have threats all over the field, and they're going to cause us some real problems, but hopefully if we get our game right, then we can cause them some problems as well.
And have you kind of maybe been unsurprised then, listening to that answer, Pete, of the way Sheffield have kind of kicked on since you guys went to Aberdale Park and edged him earlier in the season? I think they've only dropped 1 point since that defeat to you guys in October. So have you been kind of unsurprised by themselves just dusting themselves down and getting on with the job in hand?
Yeah, they're a good side. Last couple of years have shown we've had last year, like we went there first game of the season, I think it was 40-36 game, and then at Headingley it were similar type of result, and then this year everybody expected another blowout score when we won with the penalty like 4 minutes from time at 13-12. So the sides are improving defensively as that result shown, and then attacking wise, both teams have got threats all over the field, and if you're allowed to play and you get your chances, you need to take them, and it's going to be an interesting game Saturday, a game I'm looking forward to. We've got a lot of sponsors going in and people like that, so it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it.
And just finally, Pete, I think I know what the answer is going to be to this, but I'm going to try it anyway. You're still a fair chunk of rugby to be played, as you mentioned, in terms of Leeds Tykes. You've got tricky away trips. I was having a look last night to Tynedale on the last day, I think it is. You've got Chester as well, who are playing really well at home. But I know the next 2 home games, I think I'm right in saying, against Sheffield and Lim. So just how crucial could the next month be for your aspirations, Pete? Or are we going to just take it one game at a time again?
One game at a time. We just plan one game at a time, and like after this week, the players are going to get some time off because we've no game the week after on the 22nd, and then we plan for Preston, because each game's completely different. Like if we jump too far ahead, then it's pointless, because you you lose focus on what the next challenge is, and the next challenge is for us at Leeds is a good performance against Sheffield, and then hopefully the result will take care of itself.
Yeah, and Pete will be hoping the result can take care of itself from a Leeds Tykes perspective at West Park Leeds on Saturday. And their fixture with Sheffield also sees the Tykes team up with the Victoria Cross Trust charity. And you can find out more about this on the Leeds Tykes Club website and their social media channels. And West Yorkshire, in fact, feels like the epicentre of the title race this weekend, because along with Leeds versus Sheffield, third place Lim are just a few miles down the road at Otley. And obviously Lim will have a close eye on their rivals going head to head, as one, if not both, may drop points. But Adam Fletcher and Andy Davis' side will be looking for a reaction at Cross Green first and foremost, as will Otley, after coming pretty close to ending their 4-match losing run last time out. Elsewhere, Otley's table rivals Billingham host Wharfdale. The North East club are targeting 3 successive home victories, and they did beat Wharfdale 2017 in this corresponding fixture last April. So can they muster up a repeat of that? Bottom of the table, Harrogate were able to collect 2 bonus points in round 18, but they led twice during their 29-26 defeat against Chester, so they will want to build on that against the Fylde side, who have lost 3 of their last 4 games. Hull take on Preston Grasshoppers in what feels like another big contest in the bottom half. Hull currently sit 11th in the standings and 4 points clear of the danger zone, while Preston's recent run of 3 wins from their last 4 matches has eased any relegation fears for the 9th place side. So could Lancashire get the better of Yorkshire on Saturday? It's a full White Rose affair when Sheffield Tigers entertain Hull Ionians. The hosts will be on a high after their round 18 win over Fylde, while Hull Ionians ended a run of 5 straight defeats last time out, but had to come from 21 points down after 23 minutes against Billingham to eventually win 40-26. So can they add to that victory in round 19? And finally, Tynedale, who continue to impress, will be aiming to extend their record of just 1 defeat in 10 matches when the 5th place side welcome Chester to the North East. And we end this week in National 2 East, where there were some significant results at both ends of the table. And we'll begin with the top 2, where there were victories for league leaders Tunbridge Julians and 2nd place Barnes, with TJ's pulling off a brilliant 7-try, 39-16 win over Havants at the Slade, while Barnes, they aren't going away and remain 6 points behind Tunbridge Julians, following a 4th straight win as they defeated Guernsey Raiders 24-14 at home. But the title aspirations of 3rd place Dorking suffered a blow in round 18 as they were left stunned by 12th placed Oxford Harlequins. Now, Dorking flew out of the blocks in this one and led 19-0 after just 21 minutes, but Oxford Quins scored 5 tries in 15 minutes to leave Dorking shell-shocked, and they also led 33-19 at half-time off the back of their flurry of tries. And after blowing their visitors away in the opening 40, they sealed the deal in the second period to secure a memorable 48-24 win. A brilliant afternoon for Pete Davis's side. So from a Dorking perspective, that's now 3 defeats in their last 6 games, and as you can see, it leaves them 11 points behind Tunbridge Julians, while TJs themselves have a game in hand over Barnes, which comes at the end of March when they take on Guernsey Raiders away from home. In terms of Oxford Harlequins and the bottom half, they are now 12 points clear of the danger zone after this win, and table rivals Sevenoaks also pushed themselves further away from the bottom 2 after this superb Ben Adams try a minute from time completed a fantastic fight back as Oak snatched a 38-36 win at Bury St Edmunds after being 31-12 down at half-time. And Oxford Harlequins and Sevenoaks are trying to distance themselves from 13th place Worthing, who was certainly not giving up the fight. Now, Worthing, they were very close to sealing just their 2nd win of the season last time out. They came back from 26-0 down after 28 minutes away at Old Albanian to bring the score to 26-24. But in the end, a penalty from Sam Jones 3 minutes from time saw OAs clinch a 36-34 victory at the expense of Worthing. And incidentally, Worthing are our 2nd feature club of the week on the National League Rugby preview show. Now, it's the 2nd time in as many weeks that Worthing collected 2 bonus points in defeat. So they'll be looking to use those positives and look to turn them into a victory when they take on Bury St Edmunds this weekend. Now, if you watch the main intro to the show, we mentioned that this fixture for Worthing against Bury St Edmunds will see them join forces with the Rugby Against Cancer charity, who Worthing have a long-standing relationship with. Now, the charity itself is run by a team of volunteers who have a passion for rugby and have all been affected by cancer in their own lives, or know family, friends or teammates who have been affected by cancer. And Worthing will be donning the charity's iconic pink, blue and white socks this weekend when they take on Bury St Edmunds. So it's set to be a fantastic day at Roundston Lane. So to look ahead to it, we caught up with Worthing head coach Fred Pierrepont, as well as the founder of Rugby Against Cancer, Aaron Beesley. So, Fred, let's start with you to begin with. Obviously, Bury St Edmunds to come on Saturday, but how do you kind of reflect on the last 2 weeks from a Worthing perspective? Obviously, 4 points from the 2 games against fourth place Canterbury and away at Old Albanian last week, but are we kind of sort of seeing the performances that Worthing are pretty much more capable of so far this year?
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. I think we were slightly unlucky with the way the fixture card kind of panned out after the new year. Playing top of the league, go away to TJ's, and then obviously play Barnes. It's two really tough fixtures. So look, we played well in both those games. I mean, we were within 3 points, I think, at half time against TJ's, and then we put together a really good second half against Barnes. But ultimately, we need to be playing 80 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then Canterbury was probably one of our better 80-minute performances of the season. Probably a game actually we should have won realistically, and it's just been tricky to get that momentum. We still knew we could go to OAs and win there. We know we can probably beat anyone in the league. I generally believe that. It's just obviously put it into action, and we weren't good enough for 25 minutes on Saturday. Up at OAs, I think in the second half they scored 10, we scored 30 points, and it comes down to pretty much last kick of the game stuff. So. Yeah, frustrating start. We're not happy with 4 points, but 4 points are vital. We're still very much kind of focused on obviously our ability to stay up and looking towards the weekend. The boys they're in good spirits. They're still massively in the fight. And look, as you probably might have heard, or that we've been a new young squad, so it's taken time, that experience to kind of how you play at national too. And how you get it across the line is it's getting there.
And of course, Worthing's final fixture of February before that block of fixtures in March is against Bury St Edmunds, and it is the club's Rugby Against Cancer fixture. And as you can see, we do have Aaron Beesley, the founder of Rugby Against Cancer, joining us on the show this week. Aaron, thanks so much for jumping on alongside Fred for the show this week. Is it first and foremost great for you, Aaron, to have such great support from a club like Worthing and across the national leagues as well?
Yeah, for us, it's the exposure is awesome. But to have clubs of Worthing's calibre involved in the sort of takeovers massive for us. Obviously, we're extremely thankful for Worthing, the rest of the national league team as well, in order to get taken part.
And you mentioned kind of the sock takeover there, Aaron. You said before we hit record that Worthing are topping the charts in terms of the sock takeover this year, and we're sure to see them in action on Saturday against Bury St Edmunds. But you mentioned kind of the other National League rugby clubs as well. You've got Esher and National One doing something this weekend. We saw Roslyn Park do something last weekend as well against Sale FC. You've got Bourneville and National 2 West doing something at the end of March. So it feels like the National League rugby community are really on board with what you guys are doing at Rugby Against Cancer.
Yeah, just to touch on kind of the socks, it was pretty close in terms of top plays. But yeah, Worthing just kind of blew us out of the park this year with over 450 pairs across the club, which is awesome to see. So hats off to them. But look, we're at Roslyn Park on Saturday. They played Sale, both teams wore socks. There was a lot of exposure there. Esher are doing great stuff for us this weekend. And as you said, I think we've got over 12 National League teams taking part throughout the sock takeover. So it's great to see clubs at the highest level. So then you've got Nottingham involved in the championship as well. So it's not just the grassroots clubs. The boys at the top of the table, at the top of the leagues, are taking part as well. And for us, the exposure is huge. And it just allows us to kind of reach more people and help more people at the end of the day. And obviously the big thing here is everyone knows someone's going through a cancer diagnosis. So every club is going to have someone that unfortunately had cancer or going through cancer. So look, it's a great initiative that we started a few years back with the shops. This has up into 2,500 sold, so 47 clubs in all. But it's for us, it's great to see the club wear the socks. But fundamentally, if we can help one or two people from this month or this weekend coming up, we've done our job.
Yeah, absolutely, Aaron. And I guess that's the strength of the rugby community, isn't it, Fred? Where, you know, clubs can come together on days like this to raise awareness for important causes. And it sounds like Worthing have been very much a part of that in terms of Rugby Against Cancer.
Yeah, and it's an outstanding cause and a great charity. And I've been involved in one of their sevens competitions previously. A lot of our players have played for their sevens charity. Jim Pearce, who's heavily involved in the charity, was our team manager for 3 seasons. He's an outstanding bloke, and he really brought it to the club, and he really kind of raised the awareness around Worthing, and probably was the main driver in terms of this is the sock campaign and so on for us at Worthing. Yeah, we like to support, and it's a fantastic charity and a really good cause, and the stuff they do is really cool. So yeah, we're big buying down at Worthing, and we're excited to put the socks on Saturday.
I guess that Worthing connection as well, Aaron, sort of filters into the charity game you guys have got. I think it's next Friday, the 21st of February at Roslin Park All-Stars against Rugby Against Cancer. A lot of Worthing faces in there. Now Luke Wallace is once again pulling on the boots, isn't he? I think
yeah.
I'm right in saying, Aaron, you've got Ben Featherstone as well. I think Frank Taggart's involved, and a few other National 2 East faces led by Barnes Director of Rugby, Jack Heald. So there really is a great buy-in across that, isn't it, Aaron?
Yeah, I think the Worthing boys, I think I spoke to him this morning, that there's a bit of excitement building for next week. It's just a really good fixture for us to be involved in, and it's just great to see so many boys that have played kind of top level for a number of years, just looking to come down, have a bit of fun, and help us raise awareness for charity.
Fred, just to kind of bring it back just finally towards Worthing, if I'm right in saying kind of you've been head coach for kind of 2.5 seasons now, if that's right, and you mentioned at the start there that it is a really kind of young squad at Worthing, and people might have seen the club towards the top of National 2, well, what it was South a few years ago, and thinking, so what's happened with Worthing? But this is a really young group of players that are constantly looking to improve. So what are you seeing now, Fred, from the side that gives you kind of optimism moving forward as a club?
I think it's just the constant want to learn and get better from the group. Again, it is a young group. This isn't a group which is going, we don't want to be here, or we don't want to Saturday, like how it unfolds on a Saturday. We're not really that interested. We're not getting kind of that energy and so on. This is a young group who are learning week in, week out. And it's tough because they haven't got a lot of time to learn. Like, we've had some time, and we now need to really win games of rugby. And it's very different to I've probably nearly 5 years of being involved at Worthing through COVID also. And yeah, we spent 2 seasons right at the top, and we was kind of challenging up there. And then after those 2 seasons, we have a number of players kind of retire, a number of players leave, a number of players move on, and then we had to recruit. And I think we've currently got a really, really good squad, and some great youngsters who want to learn and want to play for the club. It's just taking time. Yes, we are running out of time. I completely get that, but it will come. These guys are really hungry to get better, and they're really hungry to stay in National 2. These boys they're going to have to step up, and they're going to have to be their very best every Saturday for the next 8 Saturdays. But they're fully aware of that. I'm really excited about this group and where they're going. But they're going to have to dig in. They're going to have to dig in hard for the next 8 weeks. They're more than capable of doing it.
And just kind of finally from me, Fred, of course, you said before, you're looking to win every game, or, going into every game wanting to win between now and the end of the season. But I kind of had a quick look at your fixtures in March, and there's some pretty big games in there with Colchester to come, Oxford Harlequins to come, Sevenoaks away. So how much would a positive result against Bury St Edmunds do to this group going into that block of fixtures in March, do you think?
Yeah, I think it would massively galvanise the group. And we hoped it would have been last Saturday, and we hoped it maybe even been the Saturday before, where we kind of get that win and we get that momentum. So yeah, it would look. Like I said, we are dealing with this week by week. And there's certainly no position where we're going, we're going to rest this week and then we're going to put a big emphasis on this week. Every game right now is important for us as a group to just get that momentum, get that confidence, and be able to build on that. And look, the last 3 games we've had, there's been, whether it's 80 minutes or 50 minutes, been huge blocks of the game where they have confidence. They've proven they can score tries and really challenge anyone in this league. So yeah, it's Bury this weekend, and that's our focus.
So a big thanks to both Fred and Aaron for joining us on the show this week. Fantastic support shown by Worthing for Rugby Against Cancer. And they aren't the only ones to be doing so this weekend, with clubs like Esher in National 1. They've got their fixture against Blackheath, which is kind of their Ladies' Day and charity fundraiser, all under the umbrella of Rugby Against Cancer, while National 2 West Bourneville have their Rugby Against Cancer charity day coming up at the end of March. So a lot of National League rugby clubs are doing their bit to support Rugby Against Cancer, and it's set to be a vibrant atmosphere at Roundston Lane on Saturday, from the mini and juniors to the women's section and to the hundreds of sponsors that are connected with Worthing. They are all set to be part of what should be a cracking day in West Sussex. And I'm sure more information around the first 15 game with Bury St Edmunds and of course the day itself will be on Worthing's social media channels. And don't forget to check out Rugby Against Cancer's channels as well, including details around the charity game we mentioned, which is taking place next Friday night, the 21st of February at Roslin Park, where a team of Roslin Park All-Stars will be taking on the Rugby Against Cancer team, which, as we mentioned, includes quite a lot of familiar faces to those who follow National League rugby. But back to this weekend and a look at the rest of the games that are taking place in National 2 East. And just look at that first fixture at the top of the list. League leaders Tunbridge Judians taking the trip across to Kent to face rivals Canterbury. It feels like a crucial period for TJs, with Westcombe Park away to come at the start of March and then Barnes at home. So can the steely focus we have seen from the table toppers continue in round 19? And just a little subplot to throw in there as well. Canterbury have lost just once at home all season, so a little bit of extra spice to what should be a belting game on Saturday. We'll just quickly flick to second place Barnes, who play 3 of their fellow top 5 sides next month. So an away victory at 10th place Havant on Saturday could be important if they are to keep hot on the heels at TJ's going into March. Back to the start of the list and another big game, but this time at the bottom of the table, where Colchester host Oxford Harlequins. The visitors will be buzzing after their win over Dorking last time out, while Colchester are 14 points behind Oxford Quins with a game in hand. So can they clinch what would be an important first home win of the campaign on Saturday? Elsewhere, it is 3rd versus 5th, with Dorking looking to dust themselves down and bounce back against Westcombe Park. But the visitors are the informed side in National 2 East after their clinical 22-18 derby win over Canterbury last time out extended their winning run to 7 matches. So can they add to that at the big field? Guernsey are back at Fortress Foots Lane when they host Old Albanian. The Raiders haven't dropped a point in their 7 home games this term, so Canoes, who have been pretty decent at home themselves in recent weeks, can they get something from their trip to the Channel Island on Saturday? And the last fixture to highlight is Sevenoaks against Henley. As we said before, another late win for 11th placed Oaks, who continued their upward trajectory in round 18, while Henley will be looking to build on last week's 34-19 victory over Colchester as they seek a full success from their last 5 games. So that is it then for this week's National League Rugby preview show. Of course, we didn't mention it at the start for obvious reasons this week, but please do continue to show your support for everything we do around National League Rugby by hitting the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. It is absolutely free to do, and make sure you also like and share all of our content on YouTube and across our social media channels as well. A big thanks as well to the few people who left comments on last week's show. It is really appreciated because it just elevates the videos that little bit more and also gets National League Rugby out there a little bit more as well. So thank you for those people who watched the show and spent the time just to leave a little comment on last week's episode. Don't forget, as always, to check out our website for all the latest reviews and previews. A link to the website is in the description of this video, and it is the only place, the first place you should be looking for when you are searching for the results on a Saturday afternoon, and especially this weekend with so many big games happening in round 19 up and down the country. So do visit our website for all the results on Saturday. And if you get a chance, also check out talkingrugbyunion.co.uk. I know we say it every week, but they are massive supporters of everything National League Rugby. And do check out their YouTube channel as well, because they've just launched a video podcast called In the Clubhouse, which takes a look at all the talking points across rugby union in a unique way. And also National League Rugby does feature heavily, and I may have made an appearance on the first episode this week, hence the plug. But in general, do check out talkingrugbyunion.co.uk and Talking Rugby Union's YouTube channel as well. It is a constantly growing source of rugby union news. So that is it then for this week's show. It is Valentine's weekend as well, so why not show your local National League Rugby club a bit of love this weekend by heading down to your local National 1 or National 2 club on Saturday afternoon. With no Six Nations, you've got absolutely no excuse, and in our biased opinion, levels 3 and 4 of rugby is the perfect way to get your sporting fix this weekend. But thanks so much for watching as usual, and do enjoy round 19.